Yeah, really excited about this because obviously we recently had our own debate with Vaush over some foreign policy things, and so this will be another good way to round that out. Because I think Vaush gets a number of things wrong in this video, and I want to point them out to you guys, and so does Gavin.
Yeah, so as you guys probably know, Kyle has been on Vaush's live stream twice, both times after being criticized by Vaush. And it seems like Vaush is now trying to drum up some more drama in order to provoke Kyle Kulinski into responding potentially, or maybe just for the clicks of, putting his name in the headline and calling him out, etc. But I did see this and I was interested in reacting to it because, to be honest, out of all of Vaush's attacks on Kyle, this one might be the most disingenuous. And I wouldn't even call it an attack necessarily, but just a criticism. I find everything about this, from the framing to the delivery of it, I just find it to be very, very disingenuous and not an honest criticism of Kyle Kulinski, who, again, obviously is not above criticism. We've criticized Kyle Kulinski before on our show, but this ain't it, bro.
Yep, let's let it play because I've got a lot to say about its bullshit.
I'd like it if we could avoid fostering any antagonism against the Kulinski. Report U.S. arming extremists in Ukraine. All
right, guys. So CBS News released an investigative report on where the weapons are going in Ukraine.
Oh no, didn't we see this? Wasn't this just one company had loss, breakage in the stuff they were bringing to the front lines, and that it improved over since the war began, but it was just one company? It wasn't even the whole.
So, having said that, let's look at this investigative report from CBS News on where the weapons are going.
In the past 2 months, we've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine at record speed. Drones, grenade launchers, machine guns.
We're seeing this incredible historic flow of weapons coming into Ukraine. Do we have any sense as to where they're going?
We don't know. There is really no information as to where they're going at all.
All this stuff goes across the border, and then kind of something happens, it kind of 30% maybe reaches its final destination.
Wasn't this from one company? This wasn't who these people are representatives from the one company, right? This wasn't an assessment of the entire operational, the logistics of all arms being moved across Ukraine, right?
30% reaches its final destination. So 30% goes to where it's intended to go.
So the 30% number they pulled on the CBS article was literally just this guy spitballing a number in the passenger seat of the car. Or wait, driver's seat. It's Europe. Wait, passenger seat? I don't know in Ukraine which side they drive on. They
drive on the right.
For them out in that respect. But again, by the time we got to package 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I was like.
Also, Kyle's reacting to this essentially a little teaser trailer for this larger documentary that I believe CBS News reported on and put together, which, by the way, is a very pro-America, pro-military industrial complex. It's not like we're talking about the fucking gray zone here, guys. We're literally talking about CBS News. And we'll keep watching this video in a second. But as you see there, Vaush said, oh, well, that's just some random guy. They're just interviewing some random dude off the side of the street. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is who they're talking about. Jonas Oman, the founder and CEO of Blue Yellow, a Lithuania-based organization that has been meeting with and supplying frontline units with non-lethal military aid in Ukraine since the start of the conflict with Russia-backed separatists in 2014. Back in April, he estimated that just 30 to 40% of the supplies coming across the border reached its final destination. And if you think about just how many, billions of dollars worth of weapons we're sending over there, lethal aid, 30 to 40%, even just 10% would be a massive, massive amount of weapons. 30 to 40% is a shit ton. And again, this is not just some random guy. This is someone that clearly knows what they're talking about. And it says, the situation has significantly improved since then, and a much larger quantity now gets to where it's supposed to go. So in the actual report, they even admit that, yeah, it's significantly improved and more going where they want to go. But to act like this isn't a legitimate thing to talk about, to act like, you can't even react to this question or discuss this issue is absolutely ridiculous, because this is a huge problem with the arms trade, not just when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, but in literally any situation. One of the biggest problems with the arms trade is how many of these guns, how many of these weapons end up in the black market. In the hands of people that should not have them. And again, to act like that's illegitimate to talk about is absolutely ridiculous, because it's just another, it's just another one of the consequences of our militaristic involvement in other countries. It's one of the consequences that most people don't talk about, which is why it's actually pretty commendable that CBS News, of all places, reported on it at all. I'm shocked that they did.
Yeah, 100%, right? This is actually fits. This is like one of those fringe stories, so that they can say that they challenge power, right? But it's beneficial when they do come through. And the only thing I wanted to add, because you did a really good job summarizing that, Gavin, is the fact that I just want to say, no fucking shit, only 30% of them are getting to where they want to go. That is the whole point, Vaush. That is the whole point. Do you think that we're sending those weapons over there? I mean, think critically for a second for me. If you're listening to this, you might. Do you think that we actually care because the United States is somehow self-righteous and good and ethical, that we actually care about the suffering of anybody, let alone these, poor Ukrainians who are undoubtedly living under devastating conditions right now because of the fucking ruthlessness of the Russian government? Like, yeah, those things can all be true. But the reason we're involved there is to print money for the weapons manufacturers. That's why we're there. That's why they start salivating. Read their fucking internal emails about why we're there, and it will become clear as day. Do you know why it's beneficial for them if only a third or 40% of those weapons make it to the destination? Then they have to buy a fuck ton more. Yeah, so you get only a third of the ones you ordered, and you have to order 3 times as many to make what you need. This is basic mathematics, okay? So that's why they're doing it, to enrich themselves, to essentially triple their profit at least. This is 30%. And sure, you could point out, and maybe this one guy's a crackpot, but this is consistent entirely, which he's not. We already fucking shredded that. I'm just saying it counterfactually. That's the whole point. This is why they do that shit, to make money, and they benefit from the fewer amount of weapons that arrive there. This is common sense. We know this about war.
Absolutely. And again, I really just hate Vaush's framing specifically here, because it's like we can't even question the arms trade. We can't even question our involvement in military conflicts around the globe. To even discuss the possibility of these arms falling into the wrong hands, he's portraying it as it's like doing Russian propaganda or something. To even question where these arms are going, well, I can't believe you're simping for Putin. It's like, bro, this is a very legitimate area of discussion. Once again, I'm going to throw this article up on screen, which CBS wrote as an accompanying piece to the documentary that Kyle's watching the trailer for. Every country and every situation is very different. But certainly, if I look back, Iraq is another country where there have been cyclical deliveries. We saw lots of weapons come in 2003 with the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq. And then 2014 happened when ISIS took over large parts of the country and took over large stocks of weapons that had been meant for Iraqi forces. So, oops, we accidentally armed fucking ISIS.
Which we did dozens of times.
And that's what we were supposed to be fucking fighting, at least in part, in the Middle East. So given our history, literally within the 21st century, given the history of these arms falling into the wrong hands of literal terrorist organizations, is it not even fair to discuss this possibility happening now that we're funneling billions and billions of dollars of lethal aid into a proxy war? And again, we're not pro-Putin lefties, not at all. But we have to be able to discuss this stuff. We have to be able to discuss the ramifications of our involvement in foreign wars, in our arming of foreign countries. This stuff is very, very much legitimate to talk about, even if you agree with our role in this proxy war, which I don't. But even if you, like Vaush, agree that we should be sending these arms, then I think that it's still very, very legitimate and valid to have this discussion about a percentage of them ending up in the wrong hands. Again, when the military and defense contractors sell these weapons, like you said, Zach, they're just doing it to enrich themselves. They don't care where they end up. They don't care whose hands they fall into. They don't care how many civilians are going to be massacred by these weapons. All they care about is making money. And that's why it actually is important for journalists and reporters. And again, I'm shocked it was CBS in this case, to track this stuff and to report on it.
Yep.
You don't care if that happens?
Do you commit?
That the extremist factions in Ukraine won't just coup Zelensky and take over power because they don't like the terms of the deal. And that could in part be because we arm them to the teeth. Seems like a problem.
30%? Are you concerned about weapons getting in the wrong hands?
I don't care at all whether that happens.
What sort of a unit?
Okay, wait, pause it for 1 second. That was exactly what I was saying. They don't care what happens because they legitimately want it to not get in the right hands. So the actual people in the government have to order more weapons. The guy just said it right fucking there.
Can't say. Okay.
What kind of a unit you command? I can't say. Gee, I wonder why they can't say.
Wait, so what is any of this confirmed? Are these so much military equipment has made its way into Ukraine? I feel like in order to get an assessment of where it's gone, you would need like a big governmental assessment. Like it would need to be a big thing.
It would have to come from the government.
Some guy in a car being like, "Yeah, dude, like 5 guns made it to the front line. Can't tell you where they've gone." Like that.
So yeah, this is just totally disingenuous. It doesn't really get any better. Vaush just kind of keeps rambling on. Finish talking real quick. Yeah, I just hate the way he's framing this, particularly where it's like you can't even talk about this without somehow feeding into Russian propaganda. It's ridiculous to say that these things aren't up for discussion. It's ridiculous to say that reacting to a little teaser clip of a documentary that you're not even familiar with the content of, because that's the other thing here. Vaush is clearly not familiar with the report that is in reference here. He's not familiar with the report that I've been reading off of on screen or the entirety of this documentary, the teaser of which Kyle is reacting to. So I just think it's crazy how much ignorance he's coming into the situation with, and you can tell that he's kind of just working backwards from his conclusion.